everyone, I am the newly rebranded Spider Ash from What Culture, here after just watching the latest Spider-Man movie, and oh my god, is it perfect. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse really is one of 2018's very finest films, and I'm just going to come out and say it, perhaps the best comic book movie of all time. Mic drop. Sony got something expertly right with Spider-Man here, trusting a ludicrously talented cast and crew to deliver good on one of the most ambitiously premised superhero movies ever. Whether you're a card-carrying, Spidey obsessive, or just a raging casual, Into the Spider-Verse serves up an infectiously enjoyable and unexpectedly touching good time. If there is any justice in the world, it will stomp The Incredibles 2 into the dust and scoop the Best Animated Feature Oscar, but on its own terms, this is one of the best movies of its kind in years and sets a ludicrously high bar for the incoming influx of holiday releases. Now, this is going to be a completely spoiler-free video, so you can dive on right in without worrying about anything before you get to go and see it. With that in mind, let's get on with the reviewing, eh? Right, now I'm gonna start with the one bad thing I have to say about this movie, but it really isn't a bad thing, it's more of a comment, so let's just get it out of the way. If there is one minor quibble to be had, and it really is minor, it's that Into the Spider-Verse is so excited to unspool its multiverse-spanning story that it occasionally feels a little too breathless for its own good. There's one dramatic beat in particular in the middle of the movie that feels weirdly glossed over despite its obvious importance in Miles Morales' life, and by the end of the movie it feels like more of a footnote than probably it should. Also, the introduction of the more novel Spider people, namely Spider-Ham, Penny Parker and Spider-Noir, is rather on the expedient side. Considering the sheer number of characters the film has to juggle though, it is very easily forgiven, and it's completely necessary. They can't go in too deeply as it would just waste time. Given that the movie already clocks in at a robust 117 minutes, it's already verging on the higher end of young kids' attention spans, which we really have to remember who this movie is for, I guess. This is a film that gets everything right, however, and that is the only choice, aka the pacing, that could be somewhat questioned a tiny bit. It really doesn't take away from anything though. But now, we get to move on to the good stuff. So, 9. The stunningly inventive animation. As if the trailers didn't make it clear enough, this is one of the most visually enticing and creative animated films in recent memory. To look at it and know that its budget was a fairly modest $90 million, that is roughly half of your typical Pixar blockbuster, is absolutely mind-boggling, because the complexity and ambition of the animation suggests something far pricier. Directors Bob Persichetti, Peter Ramsey and Rodney Rothman present a uniquely heightened style that at once pays tribute to its comic book origins and employs state-of-the-art animation to make the characters as expressive and fluid as possible. The third act finale in particular delivers some of the most kaleidoscopic visuals you'll ever see in any movie this year, especially an animated one, and with the depth of the images and constant planes of movement, it feels like a film that might actually be worth splurging on the 3D treatment for. There's this constant shifting, colourful presence that feels like wearing those old blue and red glasses in the best possible way. This is undoubtedly a turning point in animated movies with such confident, bold and unique aesthetic. Prepare to be wowed. Ooh. The 4K Blu-ray of this thing is gonna blow your nuts off, so. 8. It's meta, but not too meta. Meta is very in at the moment, but there's certainly a line after which a movie can be too self-aware and wink wink for its own good. Though the trailer suggested that Into the Spider-Verse could perhaps tip that balance a tad too far, that's thankfully not the case at all. It's worlds away from a relentless barrage of "Remember Spider-Man 3" gags, and the script and visuals take care not to splurge on overwhelming jokes at the audience. The ones they do indulge on are absolutely hilarious. There was belly laughing all around the cinema, but still a fully felt love for the character and his associated media. There are ribs at previous Spidey iterations, because of course there are, but never once does it feel like 21 Jump Street and the Lego Movie's Phil Lord, who co-wrote this movie, is getting too complacent with his much-praised self-reflexive style. In short, it is just meta enough, and doesn't push its luck by pandering to the audience. 7. The incredible voice cast. Just try and find a recent animated movie with a voice cast this brilliant and diverse. Every single cast member is terrifically suited to their character and gives a game, highly entertaining performance, with the obvious standouts being Shameik Moore as the effortlessly likeable Miles, Haley Steinfeld as the sarcastic Gwen Stacy, Jake Johnson as the depressed Peter B. Parker, Lee Schreiber as Wilson Fisk, and of course, Nicolas freaking Cage as Spider-Noir. Is there anything more perfect than that? No, there isn't, to answer the question. There isn't. Nicolas Cage as Spider-Noir is everything I needed in my life, and I didn't know. And it'll be yours too. Now, there are countless other terrific vocal performances in this movie, but given that they're clearly intended to be surprises, it would be criminal to give them away. Of course, there are some unexpected cameos from A-listers and beloved indie performers alike, and make sure to keep your eyes peeled in the closing credits so you can figure out exactly who was playing each role. 6. It's surprisingly poignant. This movie could easily just have been a slight, breezy, fun time at the movies, and it probably still would have scored strong reviews. But what really takes it to another level is the surprising dramatic heft that Miles' origin story has. This is especially true when it comes to both the instigating event which prompts Miles to take up the Spider-Man mantle, and also a family subplot which causes him added emotional turmoil. That is vague, kind of speaking about the plot for a reason, as I don't want to give the game away. And there are other amazing moments best left unspoiled which will surely leave a surprising lump in your throat, even outside of these main tragedies. Rather than just gloss over all the humanity and deliver a streamlined avalanche of self-aware mayhem, Into the Spider-Verse stops occasionally to spend a little time with these more relatable moments, and it's a damn good thing. 5. The jaw-dropping action sequences. Sam Raimi's first 2 Spider-Man movies have always enjoyed solid praise for their spry action sequences, but Into the Spider-Verse just might have them licked with the sheer dynamicism that the animation medium allows. From the opening fight between Peter Parker and Kingpin to the delirious final battle, the set pieces have an incredible energy and inventiveness to them, just knowing when to change things up. If you're sick of beams into the sky, though there technically is a beam involved, but it's perfectly placed, or heroes fighting mirror versions of themselves and grotesque performance-captured antagonists, rest assured that all the action here feels fresh and deeply satisfying. Ooh, deeply satisfying. Big comic book words like kablam and bosh never felt more at home than in these beautifully bright scenarios. You can just imagine them like, oh, it's very pretty. It's very pretty. 4. It makes the most of its ambitious premise. This movie has one of those lightning in a bottle concepts that could easily end up wasted, but thankfully, Into the Spider-Verse does a wonderful job of building a team of likable superheroes. That's saying nothing of the film's brain-breaking, universe-hopping plot, which lands just on the right side of messy and convoluted without veering into straight-up confusing territory. These elements collide and combine in a way that's deeply rewarding to watch, as the characters are largely just as bemused by it all as the audience is likely to be. Most simply of all, it is a great story that's depicted with great care, and makes sure not to lose you as the time-traveling, universe-bending narrative unfolds. 3. The tone is perfect. It would have been easy for a movie like this to end up a utter tonal nightmare, with bizarre mood shifts resulting in a brutal whiplash for the viewer, but Spider-Verse does not do that. Into the Spider-Verse is a hilarious movie, no question, but it doesn't allow the jokes to overpower the dramatic thrust, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe has been especially guilty of over the years. Considering this is a movie with a talking pig superhero in it, that is pretty damn impressive. It knows when to drop the silliness and get real, but at the same time, it never feels overtly somber or miserable, even with Spider-Noir trying his damned hardest to bring all those dark and serious tones. It also does a miraculous job appealing equally to both kids and adults, pitting the colourful animation and comic booky approach against self-awareness and real human drama. It's a fine tightrope walk to perform, but the cast and crew absolutely pulled it off. 2. It's the best Spider-Man movie ever. Seriously. While the first 2 Sam Raimi movies are well regarded, especially Spider-Man 2, and Homecoming is widely accepted to be rock solid, Into the Spider-Verse simply aims at a far more compelling target and takes a far more creative approach to what superheroes and superhero movies can dare to be. Yes, there will always be those who dismiss the film because it's animated, but in terms of its craft, its deftly woven narrative and characters, and its emotional maturity, it surpasses what Hollywood has ever done with the superhero before. And if that's not enough, I'm going to come right on in here and say it's one of the best superhero movies of all time, if not the best superhero movie of all time. Sure, it might not have quite the operatic thrall of The Dark Knight or Logan, but it is certainly comfortably within the same ballpark. And then burns down that ballpark and does a little dance on it. 1. The insane post-credits scene. And of course, no spoilers here, but make sure you stick around through the movie's visually stunning and surreal end credit sequence to witness one of the most brilliantly demented post-credit scenes this side of Deadpool murdering Ryan Reynolds. There's no point saying much more than that, but to call it surprising would be an understatement, both in terms of who it features and what they get up to. Simply know that it cements the love the filmmakers have for the Spider-Man IP, and whilst also setting up an intriguing tease what the already announced sequel might introduce. Above all else, it's hilarious. You've got to watch it. You've got to. And that has been our review of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Have you managed to catch the movie, and what did you think of it? Share your thoughts in the comment section below, and we can all revel in just how fantastic this neat little piece of animated action is. For now though, I've been Ash, this has been What Culture, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.